played them the second
Was
time.
that early game? Was that an early game?
That was pretty early. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we went to their place. It was a big lesson because it was the first time that we were in first place in the league in like 30 years. And they put all that out, and our guys got mentally soft. So it was a valuable lesson in that because really, we could have took off with first place from that game, but I knew we weren't ready. And I saw it at shoot around that day. I told my staff on the bus, I said, we're not ready. They were like, nah, coach, we're ready. I said, I promise you, we're not ready. I don't see it. And when we lost that game, going into the championship game, I wrote on the board TSU Tigers, and I put, we do defend. We are tough. We are together. We do share the ball. We do take care of the ball. We are winners. Let's go get one win. I said, but guess what? This Morehead State team that we're about to play, who's a really good team, they haven't seen this team. They haven't seen even anything close to what they're about to see. And that's where I knew we were going to play really good because the guys, they knew it. They hadn't seen our defense the way we had started playing it after that loss.
Yeah, I'll just say this real quick. Rocky, I'll let you go real quick. The on ball pressure that you guys exhibited, particularly throughout the OVC tournament, was incredible, to be honest with you. I mean, there wasn't an opponent that, every time they got over half court, it was just, a chore just to initiate offense against that defense, particularly, from the guards. A lot of times I look at the shot clock, and the shot clock would be quite literally in the teens, low teens, going into single digits before they can actually initiate any type of motion in that offense.
Yeah.
Did you really envision this defense in tournament situations being that effective? Because, I mean, like I said, I look at, what you guys did in the tournament and what you guys could potentially face as a 15 or a 14 seed. I could see that type of disruption, being a real factor for anybody that faces you guys, for real.
Yeah. Yeah. Nah, we love it. Once I told my staff how we're going to defend this season and how it's going to evolve as the season goes on, it's definitely a defense that a lot of Power 5 schools, Power 6 schools aren't like. I was telling somebody earlier, I said, elite basketball players don't like pressure. I said, shoot, I didn't like pressure. I could handle it, but I didn't like it. So I can consistently put pressure on an elite guard and make entry passes hard, or when somebody's trying to drive the ball, I know that my teammate's sitting right in that gap, either ready to stunt and help or get back to their man if it's a shooter. But we're going to rake at the ball. We're going to wreak havoc. We're going to get deflections. And like you said, the teams that we could potentially play looks like they want to play slow, right? They want to play floppy basketball, punch it inside, walk it up the court. Well, if we get to play our style versus their style, again, we're going to feel really good about having a chance to win the game by just doing what we do.
Yeah, wow. Coach, I'll just share something with you, and we talked a little bit about celebrity coaches. I wouldn't consider you a celebrity coach because you've coached before, but you've coached at a higher level. Watching you, hearing you talk, one thing I always tell the guys, it don't matter if you played up on the next level, was you a cerebral player? Yeah. And hear you talk, you were a cerebral player. You want to know everything about the Duke program or wherever that you at. I could just hear it of how you handle yourself and go about it. When did you say that you want to coach? Was it just kind of handed to you, or, you're a good player, won't you stay around? Or did you have to finish school? Or you said, this is what I want to be?
Yeah, pretty much I said, this is what I want to be. I'd already graduated. I was back at Duke. And so once that decision was made, with Coach K and Jeff Capel, I knew what time it was, and I was going to throw myself into it. I think as a player, it's sometimes very tough to turn that page and taking the player's hat off to putting the coach's hat on, right? It's difficult. It's definitely difficult. But, for me, I always just wanted to be a mentor and a leader to these young players and give back to the game this way. I pretty much threw myself right into that. That was probably the first thing I started doing. Like before I even started learning how to do scouts and X's and O's and really watching the game in a different way, the first thing was, all right, how can I make sure these young Duke players are ready to go? What do they need from me to help them be the best version of themselves? So that's where I started doing first before I got all coachy, whatever you want to call it.
I got you.
Hey, Coach, I want to ask you a question. What do you have in common with Scott May and Mike Bibby?
Scott May, that means me and both our dads won championships. Scott and Sean May.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. That's interesting. When I looked that up, I was just wondering, did you know there's only been 4 sets of father-son tandems that have won the national championship, and you guys are part of that.
Yes, sir.
That's a very special thing. Now, again, Coach, you can go down in history this year if you guys win the Natty, because I don't think there's ever been a coach father-son tandem to win it as players, and also each one of you win it as a coach. But with that being said, what do you expect? Where do you expect you guys to be seated in this tournament? Do you have any expectations?
I think we are deserving of at least a 14 seed. You know, when I've looked around at all of the mid-majors and their stats and who they beat, I really don't think there's anybody really that should be in that 14, 15 range that should be ahead of us as far as their body of work. So I think we've earned and are definitely deserving of at least a 14. I know we're not touching Dayton. I know that for sure.
100%.
I know we're not touching Dayton, and I think I'm pretty confident now we're not touching a 16 seed. So
also the thing is the NCAA has a weird, funny sense of humor. You guys can end up in a region with Duke and end up playing them, and if you win the first round, playing them in the second round. I'm telling you, Coach, that's how these NCAA tournaments kind of work, because they're looking for stories. And I don't see any way, Coach, that you avoid being part of this story in this NCAA tournament, considering that the history of your family and what you've done this year. So be prepared for anything.
Yeah.
You know, I'm talking about matches up with North Carolina. I'm talking about matchups with former teammates.
Yeah.
You know, anything, because the NCAA is known for trying to put together those stories very early in the tournament.
Oh, very early. They love it. That's how the tournament gets its energy.
Yeah.
Coach, I want it because Rocky hit right on that, and I want to say something that what you said, because as things were going, and you know, again, I'm a big, as you can tell, big basketball, college basketball is my thing, and of course, I'm proud to say that you're not going to be a 1-16 matchup against Duke. That shows how great you've coached, and like you said, a 14 seed. But Coach, I want to talk about the future and what you're laying the groundwork. You're in, I think, a perfect area. You're not too. We know Memphis is a hotbed. You're not too far away. Atlanta. Jaylen Brown literally did a video about all the players. You've got your connections in North Carolina, PG County. Do you see yourself? Hey, you know what? We can build this thing where, as again, you know the mid-majors. All of a sudden, the Gonzagas and schools like that, where Tennessee State can be that school. Where all of a sudden, that you know what, we don't even want to schedule those guys, and then they're putting you in these tournaments, and you guys all of a sudden are now 27-3, 30-2. Is that something that have you, with this foundation you built, and looking at where you can see your recruiting basis, that you can build this team like that?
It's definitely part of the vision. It's definitely part of the vision and the behind the scenes workings right now, where we're trying to make sure we have what we need, the resources to really build this thing up. Like we talked about, going and getting some real talent, some real big time talent to really change the game. You know, like you said, like a Gonzaga, let's run through the OVC every year and play some big time non-conference teams, and then come back and run through the conference. Like, I think we all, me and the staff and the team behind us, we got a plan and a vision to really do something right.
Well, I'll just to add on to that, I'll just say, given who's on that staff, you know, like I said earlier, man, Nolan, you know, bringing in DeMar and you know, Mr. Hill, you got some cats that have got some real recruiting chops, and not necessarily just in the DC metro area. Even though I think personally, I look at the potential at your program. You just having those 3 minds on staff and the connections that you have, with the AAU ecosystem in DC, in the DC metro area, in Baltimore, in the Mid-Atlantic.
Yeah.
That is, to say that it isn't feasible is an understatement. It is entirely feasible. And I think for those folks that are watching, I think this is a good groundwork. This is a good recipe for particularly at the Division I level where, visibility is kind of, the thing, quote unquote. If you're watching a show, if you're a recruit or a high school kid or a JUCO or coming from Division II to Division I, the opportunity to play at an HBCU is there. And you got coaches that are not only just, out actively and proactively looking for talent, but you can come in and make a real impact. So that part of it, for me is really encouraging to see the run that you're on and, see where it goes to. Cause I agree with you. I think, you can, the OVC is right now for Tennessee State to build something, and you guys got the pieces in place to do it.
Yes, sir. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
All
Well,
right,
Coach, man, we're going to bring it to an end, man. We appreciate it. We don't want to wear you out, burn you up, because we're going to bring you back. I'm going to have to tell my nephew Norris, I talked to the cat that defeated you, man.
And tell myself what's up.
Did y'all play against each other overseas?
Not overseas, but shoot, we did a lot of pre-draft stuff together.
Okay.
A whole lot.
Okay. Well,
hey, Coach,
man,
one last question. If you make it to the Sweet 16, can you guarantee us an interview?
Hey, we want to get in front of ESPN, baby.
Yeah, 100%. That's done.
Man, listen, you gonna be a 14 seed, you upset that 3. We want the interview after that.
Yeah, man. Look,
Good, Coach. Go take care of that son of yours,
We
man.
do one after each round. Y'all just text me, tell me hop on. I'm there.
Hey,
yes, sir.
Man, thank you so much, man. And you represent Tennessee State so well, and they need a shot of B12 of you coming in. And Coach, you just got that. You got that coach's name, Coach Nolan Smith, like Nolan Richardson. It's just the Smith.
Yeah.
So we look down the line, man, and I see greatness. I do. I see greatness, Coach, and I'm never wrong on that. Your ass, I'm never wrong. We don't put.
Is he a winner, Coach? Is he a winner?
Man, he a winner, Coach. I like them winners, baby. Thank you, man, and look forward to hey, good luck this week, man, and nothing won't surprise me, baby, if you in that Sweet 16.
Look, absolutely. Look, now I'm gonna go put this baby down. Look.
Hey, you hit it with that right hook, and he out of there.
Hey, right, done.
Yeah, Coach, we got to ask you about your other son. That he was a superstar on the TV at the tournament. We got to talk about him too.
Oh man, either one. Yeah, he gonna be ball on TV real soon.
All right.
Good deal.
All right, Coach. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. And that was Coach Nolan Smith.
That was a blast, man.
Now,
Yeah.
hey, Herb. Let me get you straight. Now, we have to get on Campbell. We have to get on. In between PG County and FAMU, I don't know how.
Hey, man, it's a natural segue. We talk about two PG County cats.
Where is PG County?
That's DC.
That's DC, Coach. That's right there.
Yes,
Right there on top of.
Hey, we should have played the game. Every time somebody Herb says PG County, take a shot. We'd have a bunch of drunk folks watching this.
Hey, man, look, I wear it on my sleeve. I'm a DC native, and I played basketball and grew up in PG County. So
I need to start hollering Dayton, Ohio then, because we gonna put a whole bunch of folks up in there too, man. Both in the NFL and the NBA.
Hey, man, I'm all for it. I'll be the first one to tell you. I think, and yeah, this a little bit of my bias showing.
Not to mention Jackson, Mississippi. We got a whole
now, Rocky, let me tell you. Now, see, I think I told you, Rocky, hold on. Let me tell you something. I'm originally from PG County, Landover, Maryland, Seabrook. You remember I told my father
So
I grew up originally in PG County. And then when my father passed away, my mother moved to Jackson. So that's why for me, I knew everything he was talking about. And I was laughing, especially when he said St. John's, Herb, you know what I'm saying? And the Catholic League, you know how that goes, man.
Yeah.
And everything. But I want to say, Herb, first of all, we appreciate you for coming on, giving us that balance. Because I think, again, when we do these interviews, and I think Coach Cole and Rocky will agree, we want people to get something out of it. Because a lot of times, people ask a lot of generic questions. Hey, Coach, what do you think about winning? What do you think about your player? Blah, 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 blah. But this is HBCU Coaches Corner. We got a guy to do excellent O's over here. So we got to have excellent O's questions. So I want to tell you how much I appreciate you. But, Rocky, I want to say something, and I want to get Herb's opinion. You have people in the chat, right? And, he ain't going to be there long. But I'm going to tell you something to think about it. And I didn't want to say it, but I'm going to tease him. You guys said Nolan Smith know a whole bunch of millionaires. That's his boys.
Man, listen,
he got a whole bunch of his boys that a few, and I'm talking about on down the road, got $100, $200 million contracts that he could have a cookout up there at Tennessee State and raise about $10 million.
Hey, when he started naming Charles Barkley and them, hell, that was $1 billion worth.
So some of the kids he coached and he played with, So my thing is, there's an opportunity. Again, we always know people are looking. But I'm just saying, because, again, we look at a Gonzaga, and like he said, he could really set up because, Coach, you live in Nashville. This ain't no backwater town. It's an amazing city.
Yeah.
You can build a program there, like I said, Atlanta, whatever. And he can make a whole lot of money by building that program up and winning games that turn and with his connections that do.
Well, he wasn't able to answer this. He explained to us how he got the job. But I want to know, how does a Dookie end up at Tennessee State? Heard
he was. I'll be the first one to tell you, man. Before he was a Dookie, again, and I'll chirp this out again. He's a DC Metro guy.
Another shot.
And plus, on top of that, I think he mentioned that during the interview too. For a lot of us, man, when we get around HBCUs, we in that area, me personally, I grew up in the shadow of Howard University, so. It was the same for him with Howard and Bowie State. He mentioned during the interview also he spent a lot of his time at North Carolina Central. So
Durham, there's a few black colleges around that area, being stationed at Fort Bragg, North Carolina.
Exactly.
I know there's quite a few. There's Shaw. There's in that area, just right in that area.
Yeah, and I think one thing to remember as well is that being exposed in that way, particularly in basketball, in both areas, is that you're not just talking about those schools. You're talking about the CIAA, and you're talking about the legacy, of that basketball of the James McClendons and all of that. And I think Nolan and a lot of us are historians in that way when we think about what HBCU basketball is. And I think me personally, just to kind of pivot back to the building of something special at Tennessee State. If you think it can't be done with who he has on staff there, and DeMar Johnson and Delonte Hill, those guys have been the centerpieces recruiting wise of some really heavy hitting programs in Maryland and Cincinnati. So, I factor that in. I factor in those connections, those collective connections with the AAU programs in the Mid-Atlantic, in the DC metro area, in Baltimore, and going into New Jersey, New York area, Philly. He really does have the potential to build something special. And the fact that he's passionate about being there, at Tennessee State and being immersed in the culture says a lot. So
don't sleep on OVC. I mean, what they call him, Morant.
John Morant.
Well, what I see the struggle is just as you point out, when you point out the network that he has on his staff. What I see as the challenge is why wouldn't a Maryland who's struggling in basketball just go hire. Why? Because again, I think you guys have a valid point. He don't have to chase another mid-major job in order to be successful. But that doesn't mean the big boys won't come looking for him.
Well, I'll just say this, and I'll say this as it relates to the University of Maryland. All right. The last Duke person that they had coaching for the University of Maryland was Lefty Driesell. That was it. So let's just put that out in the atmosphere here. There's a certain, with University of Maryland, that fan base, you know, and I know this firsthand because I covered those guys. You know, if it doesn't walk and talk like Gary Williams, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard shoes to fill. And the bottom line, if you're familiar who Gary Williams is, that's the guy who put the program on the map.
Juan Dixon put it on his back.
Him and Juan are the you know, they own College Park. You know what I'm saying? So anybody, you know.
But then you have George Washington,
George Mason.
Town. Come on now.
Well, I could see something like George Mason because I think Tony Skinn is doing an excellent job, by the way.
Probably if his team, when his team come and play in the tournament, he's gonna have some athletic directors looking at seeing how the team play.
But that kind of brings me back to the fact that one, the connections that are there, and I'm not just talking about the connections that are on his staff, but connections that are Duke connections that are in HBCU basketball. Like Kenny Blakeney, he mentioned, you know, his contact with Kenny Blakeney and Cedric Thornton earlier in the interview. You know, Kenny Blakeney, you know, has the same thing, you know, where he, you know, every year, especially the way he's built that Howard University program up, you know, you got athletic directors that are, you know, knocking on his door. I think, you know, wanting to build something at an HBCU, particularly in the realm of college basketball, where it doesn't take a lot to build, meaning that in comparison of college football, meaning that
and you're playing at the highest level.
You're playing at the highest level, and the reality is that you have a couple, you know, really 2 or 3 really good recruiting cycles. You're cooking, you know. It's not like college football where you have to, you know, worry about an immense amount of roster turnover every year, or you have to worry about, you know, actual funds impacting who you recruit, where you recruit. The opportunity to be seen, you know, particularly at this level of basketball, you know, is there. And I think the more important thing is that Nolan, in terms of his, what's the word I'm looking for? His media, his media existence right now. He doesn't have to jump at the next coaching opportunity. He can, you know, write his own ticket, essentially. He can build something at Tennessee State without, you know, having the pressure of money or having the pressure of, you know, a program coming at him and just dropping a bag and having that loyalty question. Because, you know, it was pretty apparent for me watching that team during the season that he really loves being there. You know, he really loves those kids that he's coaching. And the fact of the matter is, I think he mentioned this in an interview too earlier in the year. He loves being at HBCU. So I think you know, yeah, all of those, you know, the bag and the money and the opportunity to coach at another program is always going to be a factor. But I think at the same time, the opportunity to build something pretty unique and leave your stamp is also there. And I think it's really there with Tennessee State with his start.
Hey, I just want to give a quick update. The Grambling and Jackson State are 1 point apart. I think it's 64-63. Now Grambling is up now, 65-64. And so it's looked like it's going down to the wire. You may get your dream matchup, Mr. Campbell. After all,
no comment.
Well, we just update too. I think we got Van Malone, the head coach at Hampton, in our interview line, as well as Reggie Theus, the head basketball coach at Bethune-Cookman. Will you come back, Seward? Herbert,
absolutely. Hey, absolutely, man. You guys need me. You got me. I got you.
Hey. Now let me ask you this here: why are those? And we got an NBA guy at Tennessee State doing very well. We got an NBA guy at FAMU doing very well, and of course, we got an NBA guy at Bethune-Cookman doing very well. Is there a through line there with the NBA that makes it? I'm just asking her. I'm just asking.
I mean, I get the thought process, but I ultimately think that's you rolling the dice sometimes, because everybody that's an NBA guy can't necessarily coach, particularly at the college level.
Well, let's just look at three of the greats: Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, and Michael Jordan. They were terrible. They were terrible.
They didn't coach at HBCU. So.
Hey, you can't.
You're muted, Campbell. You're muted. I can't hear. We can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me?
No, I can't hear. I can't hear.
No, wait a minute. Now, Larry Legend can coach.
Larry,
he took them to a finals, coach. Yeah. He took Indiana to a finals.
Yeah,
and to a conference finals.
Yeah,
a couple conference finals that they lost.
So Larry, I'm not gonna let you do Larry. Now, Mike was not the executive that he needed to be. Absolutely. That's why Mike's my guy.
Yeah.
And Magic, Magic definitely that was not his thing. That was not his thing. But the thing about it,
but all three of them said the same thing about the players. Like, man, I can't coach these kids. Man, these kids crazy. Because them dudes eat, drink, sleep basketball.
No, I just think, matter of fact, the interesting thing, Herb, is all three players that we just brought up, they're from different generations of basketball. They're all in separate generations, but yet they're all having some level of success.
Mo Williams played, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
At Jackson State. So again, you've had basketball, and I think
we also coached at Valley, and you know how that went.
Yeah. So the thing about it is, like Herb said, you don't need as many players. You get two good players, you can make a run in any tournament.
Yeah.
In any tournament.
They say it's a kid named Bam out of Miami Heat scored 83 tonight.
Yeah, Bam Adebayo.
Bam Adebayo. But yeah, I think the other thing too, man, and I want to really emphasize this for folks that may not really get some of the differences between basketball recruiting and recruiting for football, is that like Mr. Campbell said, it doesn't take a full roster turnover to change the fortunes of the program. You could have a really good offseason recruiting cycle. Nolan's a perfect example. What he did in the offseason, he was absolutely right about Penny Collins not leaving the cupboard bare for him. There's a really solid foundation there for him to start with, and he was able just to add to it. Like I said, who he pulled out of the portal, I think it has a lot to do with his connections and who he was able to attract.
Where?
From out of the transfer portal in the off season.
And where were the guys from again?
From the DC metro area. From the DMV. So I mean, I think ultimately that's one of the things that I think is going to be a real difference for him if he's there and at Tennessee State and he's there to build a program. One, he's got two elite level recruiters on his staff. DeMar Johnson and Delonte Hill are elite level recruiters, and they proved it at D1 Power 5 programs. Yeah. So the appeal of getting kids to play under those guys, particularly with DeMar Johnson, who's anybody knows DeMar Johnson's story. That dude was a lottery pick, when he came out of Cincinnati, and essentially, he ends up coaching a good bit of time in the NBA and ended up on Cincinnati's coaching staff, and then
Are they
Nolan
winning this
contacted.
game without Ruffin?
Yeah, he's hurt.
He's hurt. He's out. But I think ultimately, man, he has a real chance to do it simply because of his connections there and the way that staff can recruit. And, beyond that, his philosophy in terms of, the type of on-court product that he wants to see, and you can see the influences. You can see the K influences there. You can see the emphasis on pressure defense and ball denial, and disrupting half-court offense for personnel, and and generating that in the transition and the buckets. That's a very entertaining way to play basketball, and it's a really attractive thing for kids that are looking at program. So yeah, man, I think that's going to be solid. They can keep him in the loop. That's going to be good.
Man, let me tell you something. If he does anything in this tournament, Coach, unfortunately, one thing about coaches, some of us say we don't coach mascot. Only mascot that really, really count is them George Washingtons and them Franklins, and because this business has turned around, this athletic business has turned around where nobody is loyal to nobody anymore. You know what I mean? There's no more, I talk with Tremaine about, his future and Tremaine Jackson and he was asking me, well, why did you stay when you got that big PWI job, why you didn't stay? And I said, because I wanted to be the next Eddie Robinson. Well, I told him, ain't no more Eddie Robinson. If you want to visit Eddie Robinson, you got to go up to Grambling, up to the memorial field they have. Ain't no more of them. You got to go when you got to go, and when you hot, and when you not, you're not. And that's how sports have turned. And I don't see Nolan staying, but I'm pretty sure if he do, he's gonna be hard to be reckoned with. But after a while, somebody gonna come in there with them Franklins, with Franklin in the car, and I think it's unfortunate. He's got to go though. He's got to go.
But let me ask you this, is because I don't know about the landscape of basketball and what the economics are. Is it worth him going to what we call a high mid-major, leaving Tennessee State, or does he just stay there until he gets a P4 offer?
I mean, to be quite honest with you, I think from any coach that transitions to a mid-major, coming from where Nolan's come from and the coaching stock that he comes from, is a little bit different than the coach that doesn't have his profile, coming, let's say, out of D2 or coming, from a ancillary, mid-major program and building a program up. Simply because one, the reality is if he does a good job with his pedigree, he can go anywhere he wants. So whether that's, and that's just the nature of being part of that Coach K coaching tree or being.
What I'm saying is a school like Murray State, could they offer something that could pull him away from Tennessee State?
They're in the
same conference.
I know they're in the same conference, but I'm talking about economically.
Not to me, no. I mean, I don't see that.
I wouldn't do that.
To me, that would be a lateral move.
Yeah,
Murray State is up in the country too. It's you got to be going to Murray State to get there.
Yeah, and plus on top of that, I think one of the things that people are kind of sleeping on with Tennessee State, and I think it was mentioned earlier during the interview when he was there, Tennessee State is in Nashville. Nashville's a pretty appealing mid-major market for college basketball. Right. The reality is that, he has enough of a recruiting profile to not just recruit from, the pipeline areas we were just talking about. He could go down later in the state and go to Memphis and recruit and really be effective. He could go into the Carolinas and recruit and be effective. He can go into areas, his personality and his pedigree will allow him to go to places to create pipelines that, any another coach in that role at Tennessee State might not be able to do. So I think it's very, when we talk about, ancillary moves, like, for example, if I saw him going someplace and let's say, tomorrow, somebody out of Missouri Valley, like a Bradley or somebody came knocking at the door, or Wichita State that has a substantial fan base and a substantial wallet. I would probably see something more like that as opposed to something ancillary like Morehead State or Southeastern Missouri or something like that.
Yeah, I think in basketball, you got to be careful about jumping, because like you were saying earlier, Herbert, that you got to go to a basketball school, because you fool around and pick a school and you go to that school and they ain't basketball. Basketball sometimes is poorly attended. So if I'm gonna leave Tennessee State, I'm gonna try to go somewhere where they make basketball very, very important, where people come out to see you play.
Well,
it's definitely gonna have to be a major school.
Well, see, that's why I look at a guy like Scott Drew at Baylor, who was actually coaching at his alma mater, and for him to leave his alma mater, he had to get a Big 12 job. He had been offered other jobs,
right,
in order to leave, but he left coming to Baylor. And I'm just saying, should Nolan just sit it out and wait for a big time job and just build something there at Tennessee State, or is there mid-major jobs worth going to? That's basically what I'm saying.
Well, I'll be honest with you, man. I think it's there's a lot to be said about building something and refining your craft as a coach. And I think that's one of the draws of going to a place like Tennessee State and building something from scratch, because once you got that, you got it. You don't, that's not something that somebody else is going to take out of your tool belt. And that in itself, when somebody looks at that track record, like let's say, for example, Nolan's there for 5 years. Okay. And in that 5-year period of time, he amasses a 1-loss record and a recruiting profile for that program that's unmatched in the annals of OVC history. That in itself is going to be a resume builder for any Power 4 or Power 5 program that looks at the track record, because ultimately the track record is in the record. It's in the basketball product that's on the floor and who you recruit and how you win.
Yeah, and basketball is different than football when it comes to choosing a head coach. The numbers speak for themselves. And I just think that you get more opportunity as a black coach in basketball than you do in football. It's just that way. And it's always been that way. Where that's not a block for you as opposed of in college football. So I'm in agreement with Herbert. If he could stay there 4 or 5 years and he 110, what I mean?
Yeah, man. I mean,
somebody definitely got to give a shot.
Yeah, and I think a lot of things too are different in this day and age of college basketball in terms of exposure, in terms of where you can be seen, how you can be seen, because I mean, quite literally, man, you have folks at the D2 level, and if you haven't seen basketball now at the D2 level, there's some talented cats at D2 level, man.
Yeah, you go to the CIAA tournament?
Yes. Well, I didn't go. I mean, I didn't go this year, but I watched in earnest this year.
You've been before.
Yeah, I mean, I covered it the last 2 years. But I mean, besides the CIAA, like this year, for example, the CIAA, Fayetteville State and Virginia Union out of CIAA and Virginia State. Virginia State, all 3 of those squads out of CIAA have D1 level talents on them, point blank.
Hey, Coach, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, Claflin has some D1 talent on that roster that's already getting a lot of recruiting attention from Power P4 and mid majors. Same thing with Morehouse. Morehouse, Cedric Taylor III, who was on Morehouse's roster last year, went up to Howard to become, MEAC Defensive Player of the Year this year, and Newcomer of the Year. So the talent part of that equation isn't in question, because there's talent everywhere. There's talent at the NAIA level. Just look at Langston. A lot of times kids go to Langston. Langston makes a run in the NAIA playoffs, gets to the national championship game. Those kids end up on D1 rosters. So it's, that part of the equation is not an issue. To me, for coaches in particular that are part of, the D1 landscape at HBCUs, is exposure in terms of the conferences and conference profile, because that's what really impacts recruiting. Particularly for the MEAC and SWAC, because people look at the net numbers or look at the fact that, Jackson State might have to be on the road 14, 15, 16 straight games to begin the season. Those sorts of things in terms of how we have to schedule damages the brand in terms of basketball. So, conversely, you look at what Norfolk State has done over the past 4 or 5 years, and the way Coach Jones is scheduled, which has been really, really effective. That dude has, practically owned the mid majors in the state of Virginia, for the last 3 or 4 years. This year was a down year, but this year was, in comparison to the last 3 or 4, dude has been ridiculous. And he's done so scheduling regionally and developing partnerships with, regional opponents, as opposed to going, all over the place for money games and stuff. So it's, there's a lot to be said about how this factors into what Nolan's building there. But I think at the end of the day, like I said, I think Nolan has a lot more flexibility than the typical mid-major coach because of who Nolan is. And
Herb, hey man, I just wanted to let everybody know Jackson State pulled off a very close victory against Grambling. That just proves you don't know anything about basketball, Herb, because I believe you. I'm gonna remind you of that.
I said it was going to be close, bro. I said it was going to be a toss-up.
Gonna be HBCU. Hey, man, Herb, man, I wanna thank you for coming on with us, man. We got to find you a space on the network of your own where we can get you on here. I know you have done a podcast in the past, man, but we got to get you on, especially doing basketball season more regular, man, because you got something to offer. And just a thought, if you know a coach that could match your energy and effort and passion for hoops, man, maybe we could partner you with a coach, an old retired coach like I found in Arizona. I love talking hoops like
Campbell, get it, man.
Well, man, first Rocky, Mr. Campbell, Mr. Cole, man, I really appreciate it, man. I know HBC Hoops Weekly had to take a hiatus, this year, because life be lifing and work be working. But there's something I love, having a platform talking about HBCU basketball, because we don't get a chance to talk about it a lot. And the product is worth talking about. It's stories like this with Nolan and Coach Jones and Kenny Blakeney and Penny Collins and a lot of people that have really contributed to the fabric of what HBCU basketball is. And there's a lot of legacy to it. So me talking about HBCU hoops is I can do it all day simply because it's needed.
If we get Reggie Theus, we're in the process of trying to make that happen. Any word yet, Rocky, on that?
No, not yet.
SID. Should I call this SID?
Yeah, you can call them, but I'm gonna do my work on the back end.
Okay.
But you certainly Coach Cole. You can always Coach Cole anytime you're ready to Coach Cole and make things happen. You know what I mean? Like I say, you're the guy that stirs the drink on this show. So
that's right. They're in the tournament. Ain't they? Maybe he might
yeah.
talk.
Yeah. Probably not this week. We got to see how things turn out for him. Hopefully, I'm sure Campbell is hoping that we end up chasing Charlie Ward down
Yeah, I think we're gonna get. I think we're gonna get him. Get Coach Ward on. If especially if it works out the way I hope it work out. That's in the works. Absolutely.
They still in the tournament.
We're the number 2 seed, Coach. We guess what? We play them Jack State Tigers tomorrow. I already told them Tigers, thank you for sending our old coach back down to X81 since he thought the grass was greener down there. He found out real quick.
Hey, where's the tournament?
Man.
What he told the grounded people and his friend OBG? What doesn't need to be said is understood. Well, he understood that he was not at the right place.
Hey,
man,
where's the tournament at, Coach?
Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, man.
I'll be down there tomorrow night.
That was an awesome move by the conference, also too, man. I think. Well, first, again, thank you guys. Thank you, Mr. Campbell, Mr. Cole, Rock. Like I said,
call me Coach, man.
Coach. Thank you, Coach.
Hey, now, where you out of?
I'm in DC. I'm out of Waldorf, Maryland.
Okay.
And like I said, I never turned down opportunities to talk about basketball because besides HBCU marching band, basketball is my first love. So it's like.
Now where'd you go?
I went to school at Alabama State.
When?
Between 1993 and 1997.
93 and 97. Okay. Y'all was getting your ass kicked.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah,
we were getting toast. We were getting faded. So,
Coach, tell them how you really feel, Coach.
Hey,
Coach,
man,
that's how we got the job down there.
It is what it is. You get faded, you get faded. I mean, but
Lou Jack, right? I played against Lou Jack.
I thought they had Eddie Robinson and
no,
that was before her.
No, we're talking about basketball, man.
Y'all left in 90. That's when they won the national championship.
Okay.
When they start checking grades and everybody.
Oh man.
But y'all ain't nothing, boy.
Hey, well, you bring that spotlight. You know how when you walk down in the basement and you turn that light on and the roaches just start running.
That's my mother in love right there. All the way from Cincinnati, Ohio. Miss Jewel, you called and I love you, Miss Jewel.
Hey, yo, before you guys close out, man, there's something I wanna convey to the audience. There's another. I know we talk about the NCAA tournament and the CBI and the NIT, but there's a product, for HBCUs. It's a Black College Invitational Championship that's going to be going down in Atlanta. No, it's going to be at Virginia State University this year, later in March. And my colleague, HBCU Nightly, Joshua Sims, aka the Network Overlord, he's on that committee, and I can't divulge any information yet, but there's going to be some interesting squads that are going to be part of that.
When they lock it in, maybe we could bring them on the show and they could talk about the game.
I thought you were gonna say maybe we can go down there, but Campbell ain't allowed to go to Virginia.
I can listen, bro. Listen, I can go to Virginia. See, you gotta understand something. I know folks in Hampton. I know folks in Norfolk. I don't mess around Virginia State, but look, I know folks in Virginia. Don't play with people I'm internationally known and locally loved around here.
I want to make sure.
I'm just with you, Campbell.
I know.
Yeah. Again, we got Bam Malone coming through the pipeline. Reggie Theus, head coach at Bethune-Cookman. Bam Malone, head coach at Hampton. And we're going to go visit Prairie View A&M in April, in mid-April. So we'll be making sure that we keep you guys' attention in some of the big things. And Coach Campbell, I can't say enough about his show on Sunday, right? Sipping on Sunday, man. It's hilarious. He got that guy named Zoe on there. Don't believe nothing Zoe say because his heart. He thinks and he analyzes with his heart. And Jackson State is always gonna be first in everything. No. But it's a great show, man. And Hopefully they invite us, Rock, to come on there one second.
Yeah. I done crashed it one time, man. And the folks told me,
Coach,
I messed it up and everything, man, hurt my feelings. And I went home, I went and cried, and so I said I ain't gonna get on it no more because that's a Mississippi thing. The whole state of Mississippi be logged on that show, man. Hey,
Herb was on there with us. He came down there.
That was straight comedy, right? That was straight comedy that night, man.
They was pouring buttermilk over their cornbread and everything, man. You hear me? They were doing all kinds of stuff I didn't understand.
Hey, man, look, Rocky,
what time that show starts, Coach?
9 p.m. on Sundays, Coach.
9 p.m. We're 9 p.m. on Sundays.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a full day. That's a full work day for you, ain't it, Herb? You got to go over to HBCU nightly and get cut off pretty regularly, and then.
Man, listen. I think this year has been a little bit different since HBCU's Weekly, the podcast, is kind of out of rotation until next season. So having to cram in college basketball, into a football-centric environment has been a challenge, even during basketball season. So,
you more than welcome, Coach.
Well, let me tell you something, Coach. Hold on now. Now let's see. I didn't want to tell the secret, but I am, because Rocky, we're gonna need you on to moderate, and we're gonna talk about it. What we're thinking about doing, Coach, is a special HBCU Coaches Corner selection edition after the schools, because you gotta understand, this is the first time in 30 years that 3 HBCUs will actually play in a tournament somewhere, somehow. Now, what I'm hoping, because you gotta understand something, we always get the MEAC and the SWAC, but you gotta understand Tennessee State is the outlier.
Right.
So for this to happen, so we could potentially, and her, correct me if I'm wrong, there's 2 first 4 games, so I'm hoping that we're not, sometimes they pit us against each other.
When we have a watch party.
I think that'd be a good idea.
Let's do it and see. We could talk about, because this is what my perfect world is. Like I said, we feel pretty confident, and again, between a 14 and 15 seed, I'm hoping for a 14 seed with Tennessee State. We know the SWAC and MEAC are definitely going to be first 4 teams, which is then go to a 16 seed. Well, I mean, they are. That's a fact. But the thing about what I'm hoping is that one HBCU plays a PWI and the other HBCU, but whoever the SWAC winner plays a PWI and the MEAC winner plays a PWI, so all 3 of them can get in.
Well,
I'm telling you, they playing each other. Like I
won't go that far. I think
Herb, put it in your pipe and smoke.
They gonna play each other for the play-in game?
Nah,
they've done it before.
They've done it before, but they haven't done it recently. The way I'll just say this, just from looking at the net of the conferences, the way it's probably going to play out. You're probably going to have a conference like the NEC or the Patriot,
but Tennessee State is a 2024.
No, but they're going to be in the. They ain't got to play no first 4. They're going to be. We're talking about the MEAC and SWAC.
We're talking about the MEAC and SWAC.
Hey, the SWAC team lose 9 games when they open the season up. They go in the seasonal play 0-9 or 0-10 every year.
And that's what I was just talking about in terms of our scheduling and stuff, particularly in SWAC schools. Because I mean, I can't rock with that. At the very least, you can develop regional home and homes with.
Ain't nobody paying though, Herb. They want that money.
Well, then that's the trade-off. The trade-off is when turning time comes and that automatic bid comes about, you definitely going to have that automatic bid in the play-in game. And, the reason why I think Tennessee State's going to be a 15 or a 14 seed, I think they're a 14 seed, honestly.
So right now they have Bethune-Cookman playing Lehigh, wherever Lehigh is.
Lehigh is NEC. It's NEC or Patriots.
So Bethune-Cookman is going regardless whether they win the tournament.
No.
We're just projecting because they're the number 1 seed. It's a projection.
And Tennessee State is a 15 seed playing against Illinois.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Let me go first.
Okay.
Let me tell you. I watched listen, and Herb, you could disagree with me, I thought I had saw Michigan State, and I said no, but Illinois can be had.
Yeah, Illinois
can be had.
Illinois is suspect in my opinion.
I'm telling you right now, if he gets that matchup, Nolan is going to be cooking.
Yeah, y'all know the first round is a part of the first round is always in Dayton, Ohio.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what we're saying, Coach. The SWAC and MEAC is going to play in that first four game.
So they got Howard against Furman.
Oh man, that's a bet. That's a if that's the projected matchup in the first four. First let me back up a minute. Do they have that projected as a first four matchup or 16 first? Okay, that's
what they got to. You're confirming they know.
The first four is 4 16s and 4 11s.
Yeah, so that's gonna be a hard matchup
Let me see who the other 11 is, because that's what I didn't see.
Now while you doing that,
hey, guess what? They got the other 11 is Santa Clara and SMU.
Now they have to play each other. They
have to play each other. Yes.
Yeah, normally the way it's played out over the past couple of seasons is that you'll have conferences like the MEAC, the SWAC, or the NEC be in those 16 roles in the playing game, and then they'll have the Power 5 teams that are in the 11th slot play each other. So, I mean, if those play out, and like I said, there's a big if, because championship week has already seen a lot of upsets. Furman being an example.
That's funny, sending Tennessee State to St. Louis. I would think they would keep them in the South in Greenville, but that's just me.
Honestly, that's not a big jump. And if they go to St. Louis, that's traveling. That's short travel time for folks in Nashville, for real. So,
and cold all his background.
I just don't want them to be in Oklahoma City playing against the University of Houston. I don't want that.
I don't see that. But then again, it's hard to. These are projections.
I know.
But at the same time, that's one of the reasons why we watch conference week, is to see, whether everything goes chalk in some of these conference tournaments, who gets knocked off, who comes out with the automatic bids, because you might have some squads that come out and really lower the profile of some of these conferences and change the makeup of where the seedings are at. So I think if we're looking at the first four as it stands now, that Furman matchup for Howard, even though Howard's been lights out for the last month and a half, that's going to be a hard matchup, because Furman is a hard squad to play. The way they play ball, the system, the way they shoot the ball, and the way they move, and offensively is hard to deal with for anybody. So, we got a dub last year. Alabama State came through in the clutch. So
that they did.
I don't know who Lehigh is.
Lehigh is out of the Patriot League. Lehigh's Pennsylvania, in Pennsylvania.
Can they be had?
From what I've seen of Lehigh, they can. Yeah, they're not. I mean, if they're playing Bethune-Cookman, I think Bethune-Cookman's the better team.
They lost 7 games in their conference.
Yeah, they lost 7 games in the conference, but at the same time, if they're
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.